Up, voters decide whether or not to sell the city of Oronogo's natural gas utilities. And all eyes are on Virginia as the state selects its next governor. Also, we learn about a Swedish technique that's gaining steam: death cleaning.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
It's election day as voters in many parts of the country go to the polls. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Here in the 4 states, a number of our area counties and municipalities have issues on the ballot. From electing new school board members to choosing the next city commissioners. In Missouri, the city of Oronogo is asking residents to approve the sale of its natural gas system today. Voters will decide whether to give the green light to sell it to Spire for $620,000. One of the reasons the city wants to sell the utility is maintenance costs. Oronogo's mayor says when it comes to billing, residents shouldn't see any significant changes.
The bills will be very similar in pricing, where our bills change month to month based on spot prices of natural gas. Spires is regulated by the state, and so they can't change prices as often as we have to based on pricing.
You can find a complete list of voting issues on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Polls are open until 7 p.m. and we'll have election results tonight at 9 and 10. Across the nation, the 2 biggest races are governor's elections in New Jersey and in Virginia. But it's the race in Virginia that pundits are watching the closest, as Republican challenger has pulled even in the polls in what has been a recent reliably blue state. Natalie Brand is in Alexandria, Virginia with more details.
All eyes are on Virginia this election day as voters choose between Republican Glenn Youngkin and Democrat Terry McAuliffe. The Republican businessman has seen a rise in his polling numbers as President Biden's approval ratings have dropped.
I've just felt this great surge of momentum for the last 6 to 8 weeks.
Former Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe's campaign has tied Youngkin to former President Donald Trump.
Glenn Youngkin has been endorsed by Donald Trump 10 times. 10. He said so much of the reason why I'm running is because of Donald Trump.
Youngkin has avoided campaigning with the former president, but that hasn't stopped Mr. Trump from getting involved in the race.
Vote for Glenn Youngkin. He's going to do a fantastic job.
Despite the national attention, the race for Virginia's governor could come down to local issues, including education. Youngkin has focused on critical race theory, which is not currently on the curriculum in Virginia public schools.
Let me be clear, on day one, we will not have political agendas in the classroom, and I will ban critical race theory.
The main reason, folks, I'm running, I want to build the best education. I want every child to have a world-class education here in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
New Jersey is the other state where voters will pick a governor. Phil Murphy is trying to become the first Democrat incumbent to win re-election since 1977. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Alexandria, Virginia.
There are also a number of mayoral elections today in big cities, including Boston, where no matter which candidate it chooses, the city will elect its first woman or person of color as mayor. There are also some congressional races in Ohio and Florida to replace lawmakers who are no longer in their positions. Well, we're continuing our chilly work week with
Luckily, weather shouldn't really factor into our turnout here in the 4 states. We've had some sporadic rain. It's been very, very light. We've definitely had worse November election days weather-wise that have been a poll deterrent. Not the case for whether it be up until today or if you've got plans to go after work. Still, it's not going to be too bad. We've even got a little peek of blue sky outside of Television City. Now, I'm not going to say we've had a whole bunch of sunshine, that's for sure. And the rain that we have seen, like I said, sporadic and light. We'll remove the sweeping radar, kind of concentrate on that line that's worked in from the west right there and then dips down to the southeast. It's part of a wider band, but this is the one that really won't be on us until later this afternoon and into the evening hours. Even with that being said, not everybody is going to see Election Day rain. Temperatures keeping it cool, anywhere from 41 to 46 degrees. Let's go 45 in Miami and 42 right now in Carthage. It's going to be similar in nature to what it was yesterday, as the cloud cover just prevents us from going anywhere on the thermometer. High 40s, about as good as we're going to get. 45 was all that we topped out at Joplin Regional Airport yesterday, so believe it or not, we'll actually be a couple degrees warmer than what we started off the weekend. This is the system moving out of Kansas right now. So when we say about 6, 7 o'clock, that's when the polls close. That's still not too bad at all. It's got a little northerly push to it as we get into early Wednesday morning. And we're still going to see some of it lingering down to the south and out to the east in time for the Wednesday morning drive. But after that, should be about done with it. And the nice thing is, once we're done with that, oh man, we can finally look forward to getting back into the 50s. And Tanya's setting up to be a great weekend. 60s on Saturday and Sunday. Do not forget, on Sunday, flip those clocks back an hour.
All right. Yeah. Get that extra hour of sleep.
Give you an hour's
sleep.
Like. There you go.
I like to hear that. All right. Thanks, Michael. Well, President Biden unveils a new plan to reduce methane emissions that will significantly affect global warming. The president's also pledging the U.S. will help combat deforestation. Skylar Henry has the latest from the White House.
On his last day of the COP26 summit on climate change, President Biden announced a new set of policies to cut methane emissions.
It's one of the most potent greenhouse gases there is. It amounts to about half the warming we're experiencing today.
The plan would tighten regulations for the oil and gas sector and crack down on leaks from pipelines. It would also target emissions from existing oil and gas wells, rather than focus only on new wells.
This isn't just something we have to do to protect the environment in our future. It's an enormous opportunity for all of us, all of our nations, to create jobs.
Earlier in the day, the president joined more than 100 other countries to halt and reverse deforestation by 2030.
Let's end this great global chainsaw massacre.
President Biden said he will ask Congress for billions to conserve and restore the world's forests. But his comments come as a key Democrat here at home continues to question his current legislative agenda.
The political games have to stop.
Despite weeks of negotiations, West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin says he wants more information before supporting the president's Build Back Better agenda. The framework includes $500 billion to fight climate change.
We must allow time for complete transparency and analysis on the impact of changes to our tax code and energy and climate policies.
The president was asked about Senator Manchin's comments at the summit Tuesday, but he didn't respond. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
The president will hold a news conference this afternoon before wrapping up the summit in Scotland. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, we show you a Swedish cleaning fad that's gaining steam around the world. And later, we're making really good rice pudding in the Mr. Food Test kitchen. A Swedish cleaning technique that's designed for people getting up in years is gaining traction across the globe. Death cleaning promotes sorting through a lifetime of possessions to save your family from a lifetime of clutter. CBS's Ian Lee explains how it works.
84-year-old Lena Sundgren and her friend Christina are doing some housework, but it's a type that might raise an eyebrow, known in Sweden as döstädning, or death cleaning.
It gives a kind of calm.
By glow of candlelight, the two sift through Lena's belongings, deciding what's important and what needs to go.
The feeling of getting rid of them is a relief.
That relief is also meant for her family.
I have done my best to relieve my relatives from deciding what to do with all those things.
The tradition gained a cult following from author Margareta Magnusson.
My blouses.
She introduced the concept with her book, The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning.
So when you are this old, it takes you back to moments you like to remember, maybe. And if you don't, just throw it away.
It's a twist on Marie Kondo's approach to a tidy home.
Hello, I'm Maria Kondo.
The Japanese celebrity got the world keeping only items that bring them joy.
Just get rid of it.
While we can't live forever.
Well, I'm going to die. Well, that's it.
At least with death cleaning, we can make life easier for those left behind. Ian Lee, CBS News.
Well, death cleaning is not meant to be a one-time process. People are encouraged to take their time with it and share the experience with others. Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
Long grain rice is nice to throw at a wedding, while medium grain rice is perfect for this. Any ideas?
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
Skies beginning to darken over 7th and Range Line there. An idea that some of that rain that's sitting out to the west headed its way. Joplin, for the most part, has remained on the dry side this morning, but it's also a chilly one as our current conditions at 7th and Range Line sit at 45 degrees. Even though the wind hasn't been too bad, we still do have a wind chill down to the low 40s. Here's the sporadic rainfall that we've seen so far. Part of a larger band out to the west that we'll get to in just a second. No lightning or thunder, and it's been very, very light, if only a drizzle there in portions out in the far western edge of southeast Kansas. Starting to pick up just a little bit down there in McDonald County as it crosses the state line into Benton County in northwest Arkansas. Here's the temperatures as far as it being a chilly beginning to November. 46 in Pittsburgh, 41 still in Modenette and Cassville, 45 in both Neodesha and Miami. Luckily, could be a whole lot worse if this thing were coming at about 20 miles per hour. We're just going to keep it in between 5 and 10. But we still have wind chills as low as 39 right now, whether it be in Parsons, Carthage, or Mount Vernon. Now, the cloud cover actually helping us out. If we didn't have that, then we would actually be talking about some of the frost advisories and freeze warnings that they are going to spawn out to our east. But as long as clouds stick around, that really keeps us from overnight temperatures dropping down around 32 degrees. Here's what's headed our way, kind of originated right here in the central portion. And those are some quick offshoots that we have earlier. It's one of those that hasn't had any storm reports. It's been very, very mundane system to even throw some snow out here on the far western portion of Kansas. But what we've got here is a big high pressure riding this portion of the jet stream. And you can tell how the precipitation fits right in between the two splits right there. So what's going to happen with these? Well, they're going to move off to the east. That'll give this a chance to replace it. And as the high pressure goes this way too, that also means clearing blue sky for everybody on the other side of the Mississippi. Here's why maybe we shouldn't complain too much. Look at what develops just to the east of our highlighted counties. Those are freeze watches. They encompass pretty much about 75% of the state of Missouri, and they stretch all the way to the Atlantic. You've got a combo of the freeze warnings there in the purple, and then the turquoise indicating the frost advisory. So as that high pressure system removes all that cloud cover, their overnight temperatures plummet and they get down quickly. Now eventually we're going to have a taste of this ourselves by the time we get to the middle of the week. High's gonna, I don't think we're going to see 50. Let's not get excited. No 50s. More importantly, some scattered afternoon and evening rain that's going to roll through, and some of it's actually going to stick around for the morning commute for Wednesday. If you live up to the north and out here to the northeast, probably not going to pick up any rain whatsoever because that definitive line stays pretty consistent from the southeast up to the northwest as it rolls through. All the heavy rain stays down in central Oklahoma. But as we get closer to the drive time there on Wednesday, you'll notice it's still lingering and eventually rolling through. But our accumulation numbers, we're going to talk a 1/4 of an inch, probably the most we're going to see. Nationally speaking, as everything heads on down to the Gulf, that's when we'll finally get a taste of some sunshine here by the end of the week. And along with it, a warm up. But Tanya, it's deceiving. We talk about sun, we talk about warm ups. Look at the overnight lows between Wednesday, Thursday, and Thursday, Friday, 34 and 32. We're going to get our fair share of frost advisories and freeze warnings. It's simply a result of that overnight cloud cover leaving us. It's like, hey, it's great to see the sunshine. It's great for an afternoon warm-up. Diurnal heating, as they call it. And then just like that overnight, we go, why is the grass crunchy when I'm walking on it in the morning?
Yeah. Not looking forward to those days. It's coming. Winter is coming, Michael. It's coming. All right, thanks. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Purple Heart recipient William Hagerman in the U.S. Army. The soldier from Carl Junction fought in both Korea and in Vietnam in 1951 and later in 1966. Petty Officer First Class earned 5 Good Conduct Medals, the National Defense Medal, the Korean Service Medal, and many more. To Petty Officer William Hagerman, we thank you, our four-state hero. Today we're making a dessert that has just the right amount of creamy, and the flavor is incredible. Howard shows us how to make a really good rice pudding in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Have you ever eaten something that you just didn't like? For me, it used to be rice pudding. The one time I had it as a kid, the rice was hard and the pudding part was far from creamy. That all changed recently when I tried a new recipe for creamy rice pudding that Patty from our test kitchen created. It was so good, I knew I had to share it with you. The big difference with the recipe that Patty made compared to others I've had was that she made hers with medium grain rice versus long grain rice. This makes hers more tender and the starch adds to the creaminess. To make it, we cook the rice like normal until all the water is absorbed and set it aside. Then, in a large saucepan, we combine some milk, sugar, salt, and the rice and cook it, stirring it continuously. When it thickens, we stir in more milk and an egg and let it simmer for a few more minutes before adding some butter and a splash of vanilla. When it comes to serving this, you can put it in a bowl and let everyone help themselves, or you can dish it up shooter style. Add a little tiramisu topping to these and make them extra special. To get the recipe for our really good rice pudding, as well as our tiramisu rice pudding shooters, simply visit our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a creamy, dreamy way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4-state market prices.
Final look at our scattered rain for the early afternoon hours. Remember, there's more behind it that'll work in a line from the northwest down to the southeast throughout the evening, all the way into Wednesday morning. Certainly not looking at anything severe. Minor accumulation amounts, probably about 1/4 of an inch. And then after that, we'll finally see the clouds begin to recede to the north tomorrow afternoon and get some sunshine. Don't forget, frost advisories and freeze warnings definitely on our horizon by the middle of the week.
I liked what you said about sunshine. That sounded
That
nice.
will be a welcome sight. The glow cloud needs to make an appearance.
Yes, for everybody. We all need to smile. All right, well, coming up tonight at 5, a comprehensive study finds women in corporate America made strides at nearly every level of U.S. companies last year. But the pandemic continues to cause increasing burnout. We look at the challenges that remain. Plus, Missouri changes the rules for substitute teachers as districts across the state struggle to fill jobs. And voters head to the polls today to decide on a use tax for the city of Joplin. Join us for those stories and much more tonight on the KOAM News at 5.
I want to thank you all for joining us here on the KOAM News at noon. Tanya and I will see you again tomorrow morning.
And the rest of the team will see you right back here at 5 o'clock.